Hello, today we are going to be working on trigonometry with general triangles on Khan Academy. So today we are going to be focusing on the law of cosines. So let's start by taking this unit test, start by practicing these exercises. So let's just start, before we get into this, by reviewing what exactly is the law of cosines. So the law of cosines states that a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine theta is equal to c squared. So now we can start by plugging in all of these variables. So we have a squared and b squared, and now we just have to find this side, BC. So we know that the angle is 74, so we can fill in cosine 74 degrees. So then we have A and B, which are here and here, so I can put in 6 squared plus 5 squared. But then we don't know C, so we can just use C squared. And then we have 2 times 6 times 5. So now let's start by solving all of this. So we know that 6 times 6, or 6 squared, is 36. 5 squared is 25, clearly. So that adds up to 61. And now we have to then subtract 2 times 6 times 5, so that's 60, times the cosine of 74. So let's use the calculator now to find the cosine of 74 times 60. Oops. Let me clear that. Okay. Cosine of 74. Oh, times 60. 16.53. So let's subtract 61 minus this. So let's enter 61 minus 16.53. Let's just add 8. Okay. So that equals 44.462. So now we know c squared is equal to 44.462. And so now all that's left is to find the square root of this to get rid of c squared and just have c alone. And so let's do that right now. 44.462, and let's go to the beginning. Add square root. Oh. Okay. Okay, 44.462 equals 6.6679. So we can round that up to 6.7. So now let's type that in, and there we go. Correct. So we got that question correct, and now it's time to work on a different skill. So now we are going to be working on finding the angle when we know all the sides. So we are trying to find angle A, which is shown right at the top of this angle right here. But we know all of the sides. So to start, let's remember the formula. C squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine theta. That's the most important part. Once you have that, it's all about plugging in the variables and knowing where to plug everything in. So to start, we are going to have c squared, which in this case is going to be 13 because that's the side opposite of the angle. So 13 squared, switch, 13 squared is equal to 6 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 6 times 10 cosine theta, because we don't know that. So now let's simplify this a little bit. So 169 is the square root of 13. 36 and 100, those are easy. Let's add those together right away. 136 minus, so we know that 6 times 10 is 60, and 60 times 2 is 120, so let's just add that in as well. 120 cosine theta. Okay, so now this is where it gets a bit more confusing, but it's simple algebra. You want to get the cosine of theta on one side. So let's start by doing subtract 136 from each side, and that leaves us with 33 is equal to negative 120 cosine theta. So now what we have to do is add or multiply this side by, or divide this side by negative 120 to get rid of that negative 120, and divide the other side by negative 120 as well. So that leaves us with cosine of theta is equal to 33 over 120, negative 120. So now what we have to do, we have to use this calculator and find the inverse cosine of 33 over negative 120. So I'll plug it in right now. And there we go, 105. So now we know that the angle is 105.96. So we can round that up to 106 degrees. So let's type that in, and we got it correct. So now we only have 2 more questions to answer before we are done with the lesson. So we are asked to find AB and round to the nearest tenth. So we know that this side is AB right here. It's unknown, and we are given these 2 sides and this angle. So we will make AB c squared, and we can plug in all the other variables like we did before. 10 squared, 14 squared, and then minus 2 times 10 times 14, and cosine 55. So let's start by doing the simple math. 100 is the square root of 10. Let's see, just to check that I'm right. Yep, okay, 196 is the square root of 14. And then, so that gives us 296 minus 10 times 14 is 140, times 2 is 280. But we can't forget cosine of 55. So now we have c squared equals 296 minus 280 cosine 55. So let's find what 280 times the cosine of 55 is right now. Oh, whoops. I guess I'll have to type it in with my mouse. Okay, so that equals 160. So now let's do the subtraction. 296 minus 160.6. Let's type that into the calculator. Okay, so now we're going to do 160.601 minus, or excuse me, 296 minus 160.601. Let's get to it. Okay, so we have 296 minus 160.601, which equals 135.399. So now we are going to just find the square root of this, and we have the answer. So let's clear that off. Square root of 135.399. And let's see what we get. 11.636. So that means 11.6. Let's type that in and see if we got that right. And there we go. Now we have one more question to answer. So, we have to figure out the angle given all the sides. So we have to find angle B, so this angle right here. So let's begin by filling in all of the unknowns or variables. So we have 7 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 7 times 13 cosine theta and 9 squared. Okay, which all equals 9 squared. Okay, so let's begin by doing the easy stuff. 9 squared is 81, 7 squared is 49, 13 squared is 169, and 2 times 7 times 13 is 182, and then cosine theta. So let's do the same process that we did last time. So let's add these two, 49 and 169. We can do that on the calculator because we're given one. 169 plus 49, which equals 218. 218 minus 182 cosine theta. Okay, so next we are going to set that equal to 81 as it was before and subtract 218 from each side. So that gives us 81 minus 218. And let's see, negative 137 equals negative 182 cosine theta. Now, if you remember what we did last time, divide both sides by negative 182 to isolate cosine of theta. And now we have cosine of theta is equal to negative 137 over negative 182. So let's see. Now we just have to find the inverse cosine of this, and we are all done. So let's see, negative 137 divided by negative 182 equals 41.171. So that rounds to about 41. because it asks us to round to the nearest degree. So let's type that in, enter, and we are completed. Now, as you can see, we are now proficient with this skill and can move on to the next one. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.